people ask me that when you work with so many different artists, from Billy Joel to Steve Vai to James Brown, even. In fact, this very room here is where we did Unchain My Heart with Joe Cocker. That was about 6 years ago. We came in here, and I'll tell you how Unchain My Heart happens, which answers your question. Unchain My Heart is a Ray Charles tune, and it was a blues tune. And he said he wanted to do something different with it. Well, it's because I knew how to play more Sly and the Family Stone from playing in bands like that. I started playing a Larry Graham style, and thus it was a big hit. So playing with so many different musicians and musics, it's like vocabulary. Each time I play with someone, I add to my technical ability, I add to what I already know. And some people say, well, when you play with Miles Davis and then play with Joe Cocker, are you selling out? I say absolutely wrong, absolutely not, because while I'm with Joe Cocker, I'm still taking what I learned with Miles with me to Joe Cocker. So I don't subtract, I'm addition. So I wish today that the young players had more opportunity to play many different things. But today the industry is very separate. So if you're playing grunge, you have to play only grunge or only rock or only R&B. When I started, you played everything or you don't eat. In this segment of the video, I'd like to talk about the various styles that I'm called upon to do in any given week or any given record or project. For the most part, if you're playing in a grunge band or a heavy rock band, you generally play mostly in that style of music, especially the way the market is today in marketing. But when you do sessions and different projects, you're expected to know a lot of different things and different ways to play. So we'll just cover a few of these here. And we also have some special guests in the house, and we'll demonstrate that actually in an ensemble situation. But let's start with, well, say Joe Cocker. With Joe Cocker, he plays a bit of a pop, but it's a pop rock. And in this very room, we created Unchain My Heart. And basically his style was a bit of a Larry Graham, Sly and the Family Stone type of style, which is more of a funk rock mixed with a pop change. So you would take your thumb and so with him, I would do stuff like that, and then I would even it out and start playing it more of an eighth note feel with the fingers, which is more in pop music. And if I were playing this thing with, say, Bryan Adams, which we did play When the Night Comes, his is not more of a, which is more of a skip. His thing would be more of a, okay? So basically what I'm saying is with the fingers, you can play eighth notes, and if you play like the 1, 6, 4, 5 type progressions, then you have more of a pop. So you have a, which can be a losing you. Okay, so that is one style, actually in the pop idiom. And another way I can play pop is actually with a hint of reggae, because today in reggae you have a lot of bands like the B-52s that are playing that a lot. You have, I mean, it's just endless. And so what you do is you take the melody and you use it on the upbeat, or what they call a checka, man, which is a upbeat. And in the bass, what it does, it speaks and waits for an answer. So you have sound and space. So let's pretend that I have the guitar, and you have, and the bass will go. So basically what that is, without all of the chaka, is the bass would play, say, a melody on its own, and it would stop. So, wait. And And that would be what I would also apply in pop. Or I would take an octaver and rest. So in the reggae idiom, especially in pop, when you play and you rest, that is basically how you create that effect. And so I showed you before how I play with the thumb and alternate it with the fingers. In these idioms, I'll tend to play more bigger lines and more, I'll just do it for you. So you take a line, all right? And I told you about the 16 notes. So in my head, I'm thinking, while I'm playing this way, I'm thinking, 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4 and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4. Hence you get that funk. Then I just take it and rock it out a bit and add some attitude to it. And hence you get, how! So that is mostly in the attitude. It was the same notes that I played, but I played them very hard and very heavy. And in most of your grunge musics, and musics in that idiom, which is heavy, is played with that attitude. So if you're playing more of actually a Phrygianist type thing, those are still the same 8 notes that I played for Bryan Adams, if you remember, when I was playing. But only now I'm playing it much harder with much more noise, and I'm playing it much more. So it's actually the same technique, just played with a different attitude. And sometimes I've been called on in the old days, which is one of my greatest heroes, which is James Jamerson. And he actually initiated the Motown sound, which is actually taking the thirds and the 10th and just doing different things and changing the root notes sometime. And what I mean by that is you count the scales, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's actually a 10th or a third. So if I were playing in that idiom, which is more of a Motown thing, so you would begin to drop the tenths or drop down to the lower third. And that was the great music of James Jamerson, especially when he played all of those, you know, whatever it is. I'm not playing right. Now, he wouldn't put a pop in there, of course, but I will take things and TMize them. That's what I call it. So I will basically bastardize the style. But I think in order to be able to play the musics of today and to be considered a bass player with groove, you have to go back to the Motown, even back to Delta blues, so you can get your roots and get your basement to be able to play the styles today.